We continue Local Decision 2022 here on North Metro TV. I'm Eric Nelson, and we're glad you're along for the ride as we continue to talk to candidates in our area. And joining us now in studio, Gary Grote, running for Lexington Mayor. Gary, good to have you on board. I know your background is with the fire department, but now you're dipping a toe into politics, aren't you?
Yeah, something new. We'll give this a chance, and pretty positive.
And you've been out door knocking, which is something you need to do if you want to get elected. How has that gone?
It's interesting. It's diverse, and you think you're going to cover a lot of houses, but yet people want to have a conversation. So sometimes you get 4 or 5 houses, and some you might get up to 10 in a night. So being respectful of the time frame, so I don't want to be knocking on somebody's door too late at night. So
the process of running for mayor, is it more involved than you thought, or about what you thought it would be?
it's about what I thought. I think, looking at getting the signage and some flyers and recruiting some people to help, put your organization kind of together, who's going to help me, with the structure and everything. So it's been an interesting journey.
So you've been a resident of Lexington for 34 years, so the city's basically in your blood.
Yep.
Why would you be a good mayor?
I've been involved with community as far as being on the fire department for over 28 years, almost 29 years. And out of those 29 years, or almost 29 years, I was chief for 12 of those years. So pretty good understanding as to what the community is all about and what the citizens are. I mean, it's a small town, but we're big on pride. And that's something I've always kind of really strived for. And during those 12 years as being fire chief, I had brought some stuff here that I don't know if you would talk about it, but I was nominated. I had 3 letters of recommendation here, one from the city administrator, one from the state fire marshal's division, and one from one of my fire officers at the time for why I should become fire chief of a small community. And these were sent in, and I was selected to be fire chief of a small city. So, and again, in recognition of the accomplishments, furthering the goals of the state, fire chiefs, and fire department and the community. So I feel as though I have some pretty good credentials to help lead and bring some new ideas into our community.
So with the fire chief background and then even more so on the department, you think that's a foundation that can be a trampoline or a springboard into politics, becoming the mayor? Because obviously when you're in charge of a fire department, it's a huge responsibility, isn't it?
It is more than one would think, but I like the challenge, and being that I'm from the community, been there a long time, it's something I want to continue to see grow in the realm of a smaller city instead of continue to develop into these high-rise buildings, so to say.
So when you're putting out a fire, obviously you need quick access to water. Let's get into the water war between Lexington and Blaine. Where do you land on all that?
Yeah, I being that I'm not involved with the city, I have very limited information as to how that's all progressed. I know last I was told it's between the Sioux attorneys, between the Blaine and city attorney and the Lexington city attorney at this point. If I get elected, I'd like to learn more about that whole issue as to what happened and transpired. So hopefully we can come up with a more applicable plan to make this resolution happen, because water is a needed entity, especially with the high-rise buildings and fire safety that was provided throughout these buildings as well. They're all calculated based on the water supply and demand, so it's important.
Yeah, and there can't be a hiccup in that process.
Correct.
I mean, if there's a fire, you need to know you're going to go out and hook up to a hydrant and get that water going, right?
That's correct. Absolutely. So, and again, it's a very critical point as far as one of our infrastructures. So I would like to at least learn more about that and try to come up with a resolution that benefits both communities.
I know in your bio on the webpage, you do focus a lot on infrastructure. What exactly do you mean by that?
Public safety, as we continue to grow in our we have a more diverse population than we used to have. So again, I'm looking to try to help that as far as provide a good, safe environment for our community on both fire, which again, the water is involved, and of course, the police department. And we need to have a good police presence and make sure that the community is more involved and engaged with the police department along with the fire department. Infrastructure as far as roads, important. Not sure what's going to happen again with the water, if we're going to need additional information. Again, I got limited information when it comes to that. So if I learn more about that, we could maybe come up with something more, more progressive, I guess, as far as with the two cities.
In some cities, and especially right here in the Twin Cities, we've seen an acrimonious relationship between the police and residents. I realize Lexington's smaller than Minneapolis or even Brooklyn Center, but that said, how do you foster bridge building? How do you create trust on both sides, police and residents?
It's getting them together actively, like we do the National Night Out. And people have their parties, and the police are there along with the fire department, and help them meet and understand, we're just regular people as well, and we just want to have a relationship with the community that fosters that nice handshake kind of culture.
Being a first responder for 28 years, what does that mean to you?
It means giving up a lot of time. You're there for the people on their worst day. And being help is very rewarding to me. That was something that kind of helped me understand more of our community, that I'm there to help my neighbor. And they recognize who I am, and they would welcome me into their house and say, hey, we need some help. We've got our staff right here. We got the firefighters, we got the police. And again, it doesn't matter what color shirt they're wearing. We're all there to help your loved one. And it's really nice to see that team working together.
So you're dealing with a crisis when you respond to a fire. Sometimes it's a major one, and you have to pretty much act on the fly. You're making decisions in the second. Will that help you if you're the mayor?
I think it will add to the conversations we have in issues, dealing with the city and some of the, obstacles that may come up, kind of like you said, like a fire situation, to where, okay, how can I use some of my background to help come to a resolution in a way that's not confrontational, but maybe more of a team effort, get people more involved and engaged in coming up with a positive solution and trying to work in that direction.
So what are you hearing from the residents in Lexington when you knock on the doors and they give you some time? What are they telling you?
They don't want any more apartment complexes. Is their biggest kind of hot button. And some of the residents that live on busier streets, be it on Lexington Avenue and Lovell Road, have concern with traffic and not going the speed limit, so to say. So that's some of their concern, is maybe we could look at some ways to manage, the speeders and the traffic on some of those busier streets.
So no more apartment complexes. Can you do that and still have affordable housing in Lexington?
I think so. I'm not involved with all of what's going on in the community, but I think if there was more property that was able to be developed that happened to come up, maybe go with some more like a townhome kind of a style rather than apartments, to where people have ownership in the particular structure and want to add value and have kind of like skin in the game. They want the city to prosper and do well.
Can you grow the tax base more without adding apartment complexes? Can you go another direction?
I'm not sure how that would play out yet. Again, I haven't been involved in any of those kinds of budgeting and whatnot. Again, I'd like to learn more about that and look at other options as to how we can maybe acquire some more funding for different projects, if there's grants out there or what other venues are out there to get funding to help the community prosper.
Has there been a learning curve for you as far as jumping into the mayoral
Oh
race?
yeah, there has been. It's a different pair of shoes for sure.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not looking to advance myself in any other level of politics. I want to focus on our city, is what I'm looking to focus on, and help grow our community. And maybe more of a diversity and community is like maybe have a rec building or a community building or a rec center that where people could go there and maybe play cards, maybe do a bingo night, maybe the kids could play some gaming in there and have it kind of more of a safe place for children. So I would like to help our city become more involved together as a community. So
Was there an epiphany, a moment where you woke up and said, okay, I want to be the mayor. I've done everything I can do as a fire chief and a fire, person.
again, as I retired from the fire service after giving all these years to the community, I really wasn't quite done yet because again, I like to keep busy and I like helping the community. So I got involved with the Lions Club, the Circle X Lions Club, in an effort to try to help again the community in that vein. And I'm like thinking, well, here's an opportunity to run for mayor. The seat was open, so if I want to continue to help our community and see it grow in a vision that I see, I figured I had to step into the pond and go, okay, let's just take this to that next level and run with it.
All right, I'm sure this question will be deeply personal for you. Should Lexington keep the fire department just as the Lexington FD, a standalone? Does that make sense, or should there be a co-op somewhere down the road?
I strongly feel we should keep the entity itself. Again, I like the fact that it's your neighbors helping your neighbors. You know, the people in the community around the fire department. With the funding that we get, all of our equipment, trucks and whatnot, were all purchased at no expense to the taxpayers, all through charitable gaming, which our Relief Association performs. So here again, it's not like a lot of funding for capital for the fire department. And if we were to go and venture towards a co-op, I'm pretty sure that would probably go away and there'd be more of a fiscal responsibility to the community.
Are young people these days, do they want to become firefighters?
That's a struggle. Again, that whole dynamic has changed over time from when I started back in 1993. You were in it and you wanted to do the 20 years. Now we're the younger generation. They're not looking long-term commitments. They're looking, maybe 4 or 5 years. So it's a struggle, and all departments are having the same struggle finding new candidates.
So if Gary Grote is elected mayor of Lexington, what would be the first 2 or 3 things you would want to try to accomplish out of the gate?
One would be to understand more the water issue we're having with the city of Blaine and be able to address that and get that kind of under our belt and in the right direction. The other would be to look at what we can do to get the community involved and again, maybe look at the park, and if we can put in maybe a skateboard area for the kids to go and participate in. I just want the kids to be in a safe place if they want to play. I remember growing up back in the day, that's what you did. You'd ride your bike to the park and you'd play, right? So we have that ability in Lexington, and to maybe understand and look at the park to see if maybe there's a way we could incorporate something like that. We do have the hockey rink there that the fire department has again sponsored and funded some items for that to keep that going. So if we could get that operational and keep it going and allow the community to come down and skate and utilize that park, I think that would be another thing that I would try to work on.
All right, Gary, thanks for stopping by, and I'm sure that our viewers out there would say thank you for your service all those years in the fire department.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to come here and talk with you.
All right, very good. Gary Grote, running for mayor of Lexington. This is Local Decision 2022.